Howdy. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to the second installation, technically third, if you count that video of my Volvo. But I would probably say the um, second actually valuable video for sure. Yeah. So I'm making this video right after I posted my first one, and I'm doing that because after I posted that video, I think right now it has like I don't know, like freaking 30 views. Right? It's pretty much nothing. I hope it does blow up. Truly. Well, I don't know, maybe. I what I'm getting at is the point of that video in particular was to just really put something out there, right? The title of the video I felt was extremely appropriate because that was my mind at the moment, right? I felt like I really needed to put something into the internet ether and I wanted to do it and genuinely try, and that's what I did, you know? I tried the best I could at the moment, and the best that I felt was necessary to put something out, right? I could have sat there and spent like another, I don't know, like 10 hours, making sure the aspect ratio wasn't trash. It wouldn't have taken that long, right? But you get what I'm saying. I was being impatient and I wanted to put it out. This video that I'm doing right now is a follow up to that video, and it's also I believe this video is, I want it to be more concise in terms of what it is I'm trying. So I wouldn't say like a introduction 2.0, but I would definitely say I want to kind of restate some of the things that I I said, or in particular, some of the things I noticed that people interpreted and seeming like they either misinterpreted it or or just I also misinterpretation and as well criticism to some of the points that I made, as well as hopefully be a little bit shorter with my words, because 22 minutes is a fair amount of time, and I don't want to take up that much time from people. So I do want to acknowledge real quick that I really do appreciate people around me. I really appreciate my friends, and again, like I said in the video, I do appreciate if you're watching. Um, the let's start with that, right? So the scope of what it is, this channel, what is it that I'm trying to do? I want to begin pushing a ball. I want to begin kind of acknowledging how I view the world and seeing if other people view it the same way as I do. At least similar enough. Because, like I said in that video, I don't really understand a lot of how other people operate, how a lot of things work, and that's, most of us. But I feel personally that as a result of just how subjective the world is for us as humans, that is what is resulting in a lot of the, let's just say, negative events or just negative things that we experience, right? We experience miscommunication, we experience arguments, we experience war, we experience fighting, we experience, um, what's another one? I would say like I don't want to say misinterpretation. That is part of it, right? But we make mistakes, and I think, um, wow, that's awesome. Mistakes. We make mistakes. Apparently, the universe does too. Because what the hell is? Or I guess no, that is my fault because it is kind of windy out here. I hope that doesn't happen again. If it does, then I guess I'll just have to move spots. Anyway, I kind of lost my train of thought. That's fun. Mistakes, communication, the issues I see in the world. I'm just starting this YouTube channel, right? And quite frankly, there's a lot of other things I'm doing. I am part of a club at my school where we build a freaking race car. I am going to be an RA at my school. I want to do YouTube on the side, as well as be a student, which I guess is not that much, but there's other things, right? Like gym, uh, eating healthy, getting good sleep, partying. I'm just playing. I don't really party. But, anyways, so in very simple essence, I want to start my own little movement to kind of like shake people around me and kind of see, because honestly, as of late, I've been speaking my mind more. Like, I've been speaking my mind more in the sense of like, I've been articulating myself in a way that I feel is truly more genuine and true to myself. And that's a great segue because one of the things that I was asked was, "What is your genuine truth?" Right? Or how do you define that currently? So I think it kind of comes down to my genuine truth right now is extremely subjective, as it is for pretty much everyone, it seems, right? And the thing about it is that I don't like that. I don't like it at all. I don't like that something that I find to be genuine true is something that is subjective. That doesn't sound right to me because, what happens when it is genuinely true that this person believes, like, I don't know, they need to reincarnate as freaking, I don't know, something horrible. They need to reincarnate as Hitler and they need to kill. I don't want to you get my point, right? I hope you guys get the point. Like, if you believe that something, if you let genuine truth be something that is subjective, I feel like that leads to the mental mechanisms of the type of um hysteria, or just, I don't know, like delusions, hysteria, what's the other word? um Goodness gracious. Hysteria, delusions, psychosis. That leads to the psychosis that we observe in people, where they're just like, I don't know, like they believe that they found the truth, and it's just like, once they like latch onto that, right? That's when it becomes a really big issue, because it's like it has a lot to do with human psyche, you know. And the whole point of this video is to kind of do a better. I feel like just brush up better on the points I was trying to make. So the point I'm trying to make there is that something that is genuinely true to me, the way that I observe it is that I feel it. I genuinely feel it within me, right? It's something that is, it's an observation that I see, or it's a realization that I have that is so true that it, like, I feel it within me, right? My heart pulsates differently, or like I feel chills in my spine. Like my body physically reacts, right? And my mind as well reacts to a truth that I observe, right? And the way that happens is, like, I observe it and I'm like, I make the internal connection, like, oh, that's true, and it's just like, whoa, especially when it's like something deep, right? So that's kind of what it means to me. And let's take a look here. I think going further than that, gosh, I don't even know if I talked about value and curiosity. Perhaps I can leave that for another video, or maybe the end of this one. So we'll think about that, right? Because I did mention value and curiosity as a child, and like that being my first memory. So maybe I can go more in depth with that in another video, or talk about the end of this one. So next thing, right? Okay. So if right now what I'm trying to do is get the ball rolling in terms of making people, I don't want to say making people, it's not correct, but seeing if people can view the world in a way that is similar to how I view it. Because ultimately, what I'm trying to do is view it in a truly objective way, right? Something that is undeniable. It is undeniable because right now there's so many. It's so easy to, you know, argue everything, right? There's like right now the basis of what we observe. There are like humongous arguments going on, and that's great because that's leading towards more truth. But at the same time, I feel like we can, instead of, how do you put this, instead of arguing, I don't want to say that that's like, that's part of, challenge is part of the growth, right? Sorry, I keep itching my foot, it's probably weird, but yeah, challenge is part of the growth, and that is great. But some of the challenge is unnecessary. I think the way we go about challenging things at certain times can be very unnecessary. So that is why I want to kind of see if we can, like, think about when fights happen, right? If sometimes a fight happens and you don't need to get bloody and beat the heck out of each other to prove a point, when you can just discuss it. And that's kind of what I'm saying, I feel like there's other ways for us to figure out truths besides, fighting over them. And they may sound weird because it's like, okay, well, scientists aren't fighting over truth, and they're not physically fighting over it, but they're trying really hard, right? But I just feel like there's not enough people working towards it, right? I feel like we need to have people who are, truly curious, truly driven to find a truth, be able to be on a similar page and really work at things. I hope that made sense. This is like my second video, so please give me grace. Anyways, the other things I want to talk about are going to be brushing up on, maybe we'll see how far I go into it, right? But people's different viewpoints and kind of why it is that exists, as well as what are the end dreams and end goals that I'm looking for, right? Because obviously I'm putting this YouTube channel out here for a reason, and I'm not freaking, this isn't a gaming channel, right? Or anything like that. I'm over here speaking my mind. So, in terms of viewpoints, right? I had said in the previous video that part of the reason why we have different viewpoints is because of the different sectors that we come from in this world, right? I had mentioned the Philippines, there's Europe, there's Canada, America, and not wait, actually you think about that too. It's not only the different viewpoints, but then just the overall lineage, right? Because I say Canada now, but I mean, think about 2,000 years ago, that was just, I don't even know what the Native Americans called it. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's kind of hard to pinpoint the true reason why it is that we see things so differently. And currently, right now, I mean, we could like from a materialistic standpoint, it's not hard to define, right? You can just trace back the physical lineage, like trace back the people, and then eventually you trace it back to the monkeys or whatever. But that doesn't help that even though, okay, different people, different minds, but I feel like, and obviously, you can kind of get into the weeds with that because you can start to make arguments about, what is it called? Not you can. I had to go look it up, and I'm kind of upset, but it was eugenics was the word I was trying to get at. It was eugenics, and I feel like people get lost in the weeds in describing, okay, people's different viewpoints comes from their genetics, right? Because then I don't know, it's like if someone doesn't, people that are born not curious, right, or people that are born, eugenics is a whole different thing, right? But basically what I'm saying is you shouldn't define people by their material because it seems like we like to value human beings as equal, and we should value everyone as equal, right? But why when we come from different places? So that's the thing about it, where it's like I feel like there's something more to us as humans if we're valuing each other all the same, right? Because we are not actually all the same by like any physical metric, but there's something about us that we're all connected about. Does that make sense? Like we are all the same in some way that we can't physically describe. At least I believe. I mean, similar, sure, right? But you can't even use that argument because most of the DNA that all species have on this earth is more or less similar, especially like, our it gets even closer when you think of like us versus monkeys, right? Or what is it, chimpanzees? But anyways, so in terms of the viewpoints, I think the main thing I want to talk about is how do we tackle that? How do we tackle that thing? You know, how do we tackle that we have different viewpoints in terms of, well, that kind of goes back to the point I was making where it's like, we are all subjective. We all have subjective viewpoints. So how do we have how do we cultivate a better objective viewpoint? If we're talking about realistically, I do believe realistically we can get closer and closer to an objective truth. And I think the main thing I want to get at too is getting closer to objective truths about, I think, primarily ethics and morality. That's the main thing I want to get at, because that is like a really big issue we're seeing here in the West, with the division of like the left versus right. Like I was watching a Jubilee video the other day, and like I genuinely wanted to pull my hair out because I was just like, it's not. Perhaps that's just like the definition of an argument, or the definition. Yeah, perhaps maybe that's the definition of an argument. But it literally did not sound like they were listening to each other. They were just trying. They were just talking. It was just like two walls talking to one another. Like it was just it was like abhorrent. It sucked. It was annoying. Anyways, so yeah. Uh-oh. That was no bueno. um, so yeah, I think actually tackling the issue of different viewpoints, well, you know, it's doing this. To be honest, it's making YouTube videos. It's learning. It's studying. It's talking to people and listening. It's having a open mind to what's going on around us. And yeah, that's where it's going to really start. That's where I believe I'm going to start with it. So Final thing I think I'll touch on, and maybe I'll yap for a bit or a while. Maybe I'll yap for a while about it. Is end dreams and goals, right? I have different goals. Everyone does, and what I mean by that is I have goals staged in my life. I have a goal for this week. I have a goal for today. I have a goal for the month, the year, my life, my car. Like a yeah, I'm a pretty big car guy. For anyone who doesn't know me yet, and I don't know, maybe we can talk about the ethics and morality of having a cool car. I actually am going to talk about that in one of my future videos, so stay tuned for that. But anyways, let's talk ultimate, right? Let's romanticize a little bit, fantasize, because I don't know, people like to do that. I like to do that. There's this aesthetic, and it's called Frutiger Aero. I'll probably make multiple videos about it, but right now I'm just going to brush up on it. For anyone familiar with the aesthetic, I feel like, and I hope that if you're truly familiar with it, when I said that word, it really piqued your interest. Because the thing that I see, and like, I mean, quite frankly, around me, right? Like, you see this beautiful green grass, this beautiful tree that I'm leaning up against. And when I say beautiful, I really mean that. I believe that this world, even though it's so subjective, it truly is so beautiful. And it's so, but it's also so, the opposite, right? It can be disgusting, it can be horrific, and it can be two things at the same time. Why? Because two different people can look at it at the same time and see completely different things, right? And that is part of the beauty, but it's also part of the issue I see. So to get back to Frutiger Era, when I think of that aesthetic, I think of a genuine better tomorrow. It makes me think of a time where well, first off, it started what, in like the 90s or 2000s, right? And it was a aesthetic designed to enact the emotions that I'm feeling, right? Like a better tomorrow, a sustainable future. It's green, it's vibrant. There's futuristic buildings, right? It's you see buildings with grass on top of them. You see the interiors of buildings that are just so sleek and modern, but it's not the brutalist modern that we see like today, right? Or like brutalist or simplistic modern. It's like a really nice, smooth, like someone close to me described it, or I showed it to them, and I loved the word that she used. She said like it looks clean, and I loved it so much. It truly resonated with me. Like that is exactly what it is. Why is it clean? Because it's showing a future where we don't muddy this dang earth up. I need to calm myself because I low key will get aggravated. But seriously, like I view the way that we are currently treating this world. I have I have so much I have so much anger, genuine anger for what is going on and how we treat it. And I'm gonna say it again. I can talk about another video, right? Because this is what I'm experiencing, but I also know the other side of seeing it. But I'm experiencing this anger, but I'm channeling that anger into positivity. I'm taking that energy and I'm flipping it on top of its head because, well, that's essentially I'm using it as fuel. You know, I'm using it as a fuel to do something about it because I want to do something about it, and I feel that I honestly don't think I'm the only one. I mean, like I right now I'm not using a lot of data points, but the next videos, maybe not the next one after this, maybe I just yap a little more in my mind, but the next videos coming up, I'm gonna actually cite my sources because I have sources to use in terms of like I don't know, like people. There's people that genuinely want to deny climate change. It's just like I don't know. Quite frankly, that is I don't know how to put it. That's just wrong. Like I think that's part of it too. Like when we find an objective truth, we can really see the actual wrongs in this world, and one of them is denying climate change. It's just like wow, that's just deceitful. That's a lie. Like that's disgusting. But anyways, my end goal is to. I don't care if it's infinitesimally small how much I move the needle. I want to move the needle towards a genuine, better future that I see fit. But I don't want it to just be mine. I don't want to I don't want to be on my deathbed and believe and know. I don't want to think on my deathbed, you know what? At least I moved the future to be what I thought was better. That's selfish. That's not what I want. I want all of us to have a better future. And I think a lot of people can agree with that. I think the reason why we have an individualistic take is because of the oppression of our systems and also the nature of capitalism, right? Nature of capitalism tells you, I mean, I'm gonna just put it, I'll probably bleep it too, just get money. Like, that's what it's like. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be out here making money. You're supposed to be out here, the populace. I mean, who cares? Eat McDonald's. Buy, consume, do all this crazy stuff, right? Like, what are we doing? What are we actually doing? When you think about it, you're just living life. But why? Why live it that way? Why live it that way when it's genuinely true that we could do real research into better things? You know? It's there. It's truly there. We don't need to be using concrete that has the carbon footprint that it does, right? Or the fuels that we do. Like, it's not it's not an innovation issue. It's a gosh, I don't I'll put a simple label on it. It's selfishness. But I do believe it's more complex than that. But anyways, I hope that that video made more sense. Um, if it didn't, then crap. But thanks for listening again.